is how we like to communicate our thoughts and feeling, stories that can make you relate. And we talk to some cool people we met on the way. So thanks for tuning in. We hope that you like your stay.
Hey, I'm Hannah,
Hi, I'm Mel.
Hi, I'm Kaylee.
and welcome to another episode of the Girl Stuff podcast. Today we are joined by the singer-songwriter KAYLEE Federman. And Kaylee, just before we start and dive into all the topics, tell us a little bit about yourself and all that you do.
So, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be doing this with you guys. And I love your podcast already, so I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, my name's KAYLEE Federman. I'm a singer-songwriter, artist. Right now I'm based in Boston, and I'm a student at Berklee College of Music. So, doing a lot of class stuff right now, but I'm in the city. It's getting warmer, so one of my favorite things to do is like go on walks and just listen to music a lot. That kind of helps my mind just get off class and stuff because there's a lot of final stuff coming up. So I think a lot of people are starting to like feel the stress. So that's kind of what I've been doing a lot lately is just walking. I like to do producing, so I produce in Logic. If there's any like female producers out there, I'm always rooting for you guys because there's a lot of male producers and we need more female producers. So if you're a female producer, just, keep plugging away and keep going. We need you. So, and I have a little cat named Megan. She's sitting right over there. She'll probably pop in and say hi, maybe. She loves people, and I think sometimes she's like, sees me talking to a screen, and she's like, there are people, let me say hi. So she might make an appearance. But yeah, other than that, I'm just like making music and living
life. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's good to know that you're in school because, one of the major things that we always talk about is, we, as much as we want have our passions to pursue, we're still always doing something else at the same time to help us achieve that passion. So we'll dive in a little bit more about that later. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let's have some fun. So you mentioned walking and, the weather is getting warmer. So definitely, we've been doing that. But what's one thing you did during quarantine, so kind of within the last year, that you otherwise wouldn't have had the time to do?
I think I did a lot of, it's funny, I did a lot of like nothing. And I would always feel guilty about it. Like I'd tell my mom, like, I feel so unproductive. Like we've been home. I feel like I've been doing nothing. And she would always come to me and be like, it's okay to do nothing. I think we live in a society where like you're kind of forced to think that you always need to be doing something. You constantly need to be active or progressing or doing something all the time. And so I think I took like maybe 2 weeks and I thought of them as like vacation weeks and I literally just did nothing. Like I walked a lot. I listened to a lot of music. I wrote some songs. And I sat outside. I had a job. I actually had 2 jobs over the summer. So I was working. But yeah, I kind of did nothing. Which is why now I'm like so excited to like be busy a lot more and like have sessions. I'm doing a lot of session work with other producers and other writers, and I'm doing a lot of writing. And I would travel so much last year. I would travel to Nashville and LA all the time. And when it all just kind of stopped, I was like, what do I do now? And I think everyone kind of faced that, but I was like, I guess I'll just hang out. Like there actually is nothing to do, so I'll just hang out.
Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of the same. I'm like very much of a busy person. So when COVID hit, I was like, so my calendar is free. What do I do?
I'm like at a loss. I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. So I mean, having a pet definitely helps because they keep you somewhat occupied here and there.
Yes, I got Megan in June. So
okay.
We were kind of like, I was like, what do we like? We had a dog for a while and he passed away a few years ago. So I was like, we'll be here for the next few months and then I'll be moving into my city apartment. And like, do you think that it's okay if we get a cat? And my mom was like, it probably took like 3 weeks of convincing. And then she was like, yeah, we can get a cat if you want. So we got her like a little baby, and my mom fell in love with her, and she's like,
of course.
are you taking the cat with you to school? And I was like, yeah.
So. Yes. So another question that I have for you is, you did mention music, but I was kind of intrigued, and we we met, like Mel and I met because of Netflix, and we watched the same show, and TikTok brought us together, and now we're friends with a podcast, always together on a call. But was there any like movie or TV show or series that you kind of got into during quarantine or fell in love with or anything like that?
Um, I don't remember. I think I rewatched Gilmore Girls for sure.
Yes.
I remember rewatching that, and oh, my brother and I watched a lot of shows together. We watched Community,
Okay.
which is a great show.
Yeah.
It's also by the Russo brothers, so they do like
Yes.
Marvel and all that kind of stuff. So that was very funny. I started Brooklyn Nine-Nine recently, which is a great show.
Yep.
Very funny. Um, I'm trying to think. I love superhero movies.
Okay.
So I love Marvel. I like DC too. I'm more of a Marvel person.
Okay.
But yeah, I loved watching. We just watched, I think we marathoned like a lot of the Marvel
The
movies.
Marvel movies. Yeah, I think everyone did.
Yeah, I think so too.
So have you seen like WandaVision and
I
Falcon and
have. I've
Winter
seen WandaVision. So my friend actually just gave me access to his Disney Plus.
Soldier? Mm-hmm.
So I'm like so excited. I haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
Okay.
I'm gonna watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I have seen WandaVision, and I'm excited for the Black Widow. I think it's a movie
Yes, it's a movie.
coming
Yeah.
out. So I'm really
It's
excited for
it's
that.
so exciting. Marvel's just like, here, we're in quarantine, but here's content for you
Here's
guys.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing is I got into more like content creation. I was like, how can I like do this kind of stuff, but also not get too phased by it because it's easy to
Yes.
then like I guess that's kind of like the later part of this is like you compare yourself and you're like, ah, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. All right, so speaking of music and how much we all love music here, we're gonna play a little game with you. We played it before in other episodes, and it's always fun to see how fast singer-songwriters kind of think of something. So the game is Song Association,
Mhm.
and we've gathered 10 different words, and the game is that we give you a word, and then you have to sing or tell us a lyric with the line in with that word in the line. Um, so, for example, if I say the word mess, the first thing that comes up to my mind is, "Oh, I'm a mess right now, inside out."
Yes. Oh my God, that's the one that came to my mind too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll see. We'll see how well you do. You do get some friend calls. Your friends are us here. So
Okay. I'm like nervous. I'm like, because usually when people, like, I can think of songs immediately, but when someone's like, what's your favorite song? I'm like, do I listen to music? I don't even know
I
who
know,
sings. Like,
totally get you. But I have a feeling you'll do good. I have a feeling you'll do good. So we'll
okay.
see. All right. So
Okay.
your first word is thousand.
1,000. And I would walk 5. Oh, no, that's 500. Shoot. Damn it. Oh, I love you for 1,000 years and 1,000 more. Christina Perry.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
I thought of numbers. I was like 500,000, 5 miles. Like, not the song.
Don't worry. You're good. You're good. The next word is pizza.
Pita?
Hmm.
Oh my God, pita?
No, pizza.
Pita?
Like pizza.
Oh,
Like
pizza.
yeah, like cheese pizza,
Oh,
pepperoni
I'm so
pizza.
sorry. I thought I was hearing pita. Zoom. I swear to God. Um, pizza. Um, I might phone a friend for this one.
You might phone a friend. Melina, would you like to be that friend for this one?
I can be the friend. Have you seen the Camp Rock movies?
Yes.
The second one, Nick Jonas sings a song called Introducing Me.
Oh, he does. But I forget how it goes. I need to rewatch the movies.
I like cheese. I like cheese. Only on pizza, please.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Ah, okay, I have to
You're
rewatch
good. Honestly, we were just talking about rewatching the movies too. So,
that. Yeah, no, I need to catch up on that.
well,
Okay.
now that you have Disney Plus, you have the opportunity to rewatch them. So it's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be digging into that.
All right, the next word is try.
Try. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to bend until you break. I think Kobe Coblet?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know his
yeah.
name. Yeah.
I know her name's so great. Her last name's confusing. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, never.
Never say never.
Perfect. Queen.
If all the kings and the queens on the throne, we will pop champagne and raise a toast. Ava Max.
Perfect. Lonely.
I'm so lonely. The Justin Bieber song. That's the only part I know.
I think that's only for anyone knows.
Yeah.
Anyone.
If it's not you, it's not anyone. Not anyone. Also Justin Bieber.
Yeah, of course. Justin's just taken over everyone's Spotify.
He's got it. Yeah.
Truly.
Truly. I don't know if this counts. Speaking truthfully. I don't know if that counts. There's
We'll count it. We'll count it.
Okay, there's a DNC song that's like speaking truthfully. Okay.
Flower.
Put a flower in your hair. That's like a part of the Maroon 5 song.
Okay.
It's that one line in Sunday Morning.
Okay.
Put a flower in your hair. Something.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. You like this one. Miles.
Miles. I would walk 500 miles. There you go. That's her.
Perfect. You did amazing. I think you got 9 out of 10, which we're here for. We're here for it. So claps all around.
Yay! Oh, I made it through the first test.
You made it through the first test. Perfect. Yeah. So now we're going to take a little bit of a dive into just music, your passion for it, and then kind of dive into your musical career as well and your song and kind of talk a little bit about that.
Cool. Sounds good.
Well, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. You clearly have a big passion for music. Where did it come from? Like, does your family have like a background in music, or did you just find it yourself?
I think I always kind of liked music. I did like theater when I was younger. I did more like in middle school. I did a lot of theater, and then I started to do a lot of choirs throughout school. In elementary school, they kind of make you do choir. They kind of like make you do everything. But I really liked it. And then I just continued doing choir throughout middle school and high school. And then I did some theater. And then I started doing choirs like outside of school with my dad a lot. And I started to fall more in love with the idea of like performing as a singer-songwriter because I watched like a Taylor Swift documentary. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. That looks cool, and I just really fell in love. I became like obsessed with her and her music and her story and how she got places. And she was like, well, I went to Nashville. And I was like, okay, gotta go there. So so I started to do a lot of open mics like around here because I live like 20 minutes from here, but I'm in the city right now. So I would do a lot of open mics throughout the city, throughout my town, throughout other towns. My mom would drive me on like Tuesday, Wednesday nights out to like Medford and Concord and like these just like faraway places to sing like 2 songs in front of sometimes up to like 20 people, but usually it's like 15, 10, 5, So I would do a lot of those, and then I started to do a lot more actual gigs because a lot of those places would book live music, and they like the open mic was just kind of something they had. So as I kept coming back, they were like, okay, do you want to do like a Thursday night slot? Do you want to do a Sunday night slot? And then you can kind of move up to like Friday nights and Saturday nights because those are like the better ones. So then I started to do a lot more of those, which was really fun. And I kind of stopped doing theater because I realized that wasn't really for me. And I stopped doing choir because I realized, I don't know if this is everyone's experience, but in my experience, I just didn't feel very welcomed in the choir room. I didn't feel like the kids were that friendly. Also, the choir I was doing was very big, so I just felt like I didn't really have a place there. Like everyone, like it was all filled up, and there was just no reason for me to be there. So I did voice lessons for a really long time, and I'm still with the same voice teacher. So I do like outside you technically can do lessons at Berkeley, but I choose to do them outside just because I'm more comfortable with my teacher. And then I started taking trips to Nashville. So turns out that a lot of people in Nashville are from Boston. Like a lot of Boston people kind of migrate down there. A lot of Berkeley kids go down there after they're done with school. It's either that or LA or New York, usually, sometimes London, depending on what you want to do. But I took a lot of trips down to Nashville with my mom, and I just networked and I performed and I learned the city and I learned what not to do and what to do and who to talk to and how to talk to people. And I then started to go there by myself. So this was more last year actually. I would go there by myself a lot over the summer. 2 summers ago, I went there a couple times by myself. And I would just go down there and write with people. I would connect with people. It's actually where I met my manager, who is with me now. We've been together for like 3 years. So that's pretty cool. But we met down there when I was with my mom, and then we just kind of like stayed in touch. And only during quarantine did we actually like really start to work together because he's a tour manager. So, and because there was no tours, he was like, okay, I have more time to like work with you now. I think he was always like, I want to work with you, but you know, he's got his other life. So because that kind of got put on hold, it was easier to see where our relationship could go. So we did a lot more work together, and now we actually signed an official contract, so we're officially like working together, which is really great. But he's based in Nashville, so I would go down there and work with him a little bit, and I would write with people, I would perform. Then I started to do the same thing in LA. Not as much, but I did go to LA a couple times by myself to write with a few people, and I performed there a couple times. And then I just kind of kept doing that until quarantine hit. And I would do school and I would do gigs and I would just work really hard on networking, and I would go down the list of like, I would find places that I want to perform and I would just reach out to all those artists or their managers or their agents or the venue that I wanted to perform at. I had all these like spreadsheets with all these emails, and I would call people and I would email them, and like I would spend hours just going down the list. And then I would go and practice because I'm like, okay, if I want to perform here, I got to make sure that I actually know how to perform, and I write the songs. And then I would also be like, okay, well, I need to keep up an online following, so I would like, you know, try and make content, stuff like that. So it definitely got overwhelming, that and school. But yeah, that's kind of where it led me to here.
It's so funny because like that's me. Like we have a spreadsheet with all the people that we'd love to interview, and I'm like color coordinating it with like who we haven't reached out with and who we did and who we didn't hear back from. Like I totally get that. Like, and I think like in today's world, like you need to hustle to actually get to where you want to go, right? Like nothing ever falls on your lap, you know?
No. But also I realized that like I needed a team. Like now I developed a team of people who help me. Like I have my manager, I have people who help me do marketing and campaigning and that kind of stuff. I have someone who does branding and who does grammar, who helps video edit things if we need. And then my manager does like booking and stuff like that, and does what a manager does. So I think that it's really good to be able to do a lot by yourself, but you really can't do everything by yourself. At one point, like you need other people to help you, and that's why the networking is like that's where it really comes in handy. So
going back to music and how you like create a song. When you're working on a new song, what usually comes first? What do you work on first, like the music or the lyrics?
For me as a songwriter, melody comes a lot easier to me. So if I'm writing acoustically and I'm just like picking up my guitar, usually it's like 12:30 at night and I'm like, I feel like writing a song. I usually will just play chords or like strum something out, and I'll be like, okay, this kind of feels good. And sometimes I'll have a concept in mind already, and I'll already have like a little bit of a lyrical idea. But usually the melody comes first, and I'll put lyrics on top of that. I kind of have to have them go together. I know some people like recently I've done sessions where we'll just spitball words and we'll just write things out, and I'm like, I need to put a melody to this to make it fit. So I'll spit out like a random melody to see if it works, and then usually we'll end up changing it because it's just like a first draft thing. But for me, usually like I'll do melody. If I'm producing, I'll produce out like a whole track and structure it out and add just like the sounds that I'm going for and what the vibe is, and then I'll like top line over that, so I'll write the song over to fit the track that I made. And if I'm collaborating with someone else, usually I'll kind of like start just singing something or like some sort of melody and see if they like it. But yeah, I think lyrics come second for me.
You mentioned Taylor Swift. What are like other like music inspirations that you have like from growing up with different types of music?
So we listened to a lot of ABBA in my household when I was younger. A lot of ABBA. My dad put on a lot of, well, actually my mom put on a lot of like Fleetwood Mac and Billy Joel, Elton John. My dad did like a lot of Beatles stuff, a lot of Beach Boys stuff. So there's a lot of like kind of classic rock going on. And then I kind of found the pop world and I was like, ooh, I like this a lot. So Taylor Swift is always just like an inspiration for me as a songwriter, as a businesswoman, as a performer for sure. But a lot of other influences for me are like Ed Sheeran as a songwriter and as a performer. Especially some of these people, like seeing them live is just eye-opening. Like watching Ed Sheeran perform live is crazy. Like it's an incredible feeling to watch him perform. So him as a performer, I think Bruno Mars is a performer for sure, someone to watch. Trying else to think. Luz Capaldi as a songwriter, Alec Benjamin, Love. Julia Michaels as a songwriter. I'm trying to think who else. I have to like pull up my phone and like look.
I feel like I just found like me and another person. Because I grew up like Fleetwood Mac and Billy Joel and Cat Stevens and stuff, and now I'm like Niall Horan and Luz Capaldi, and you know, so I'm like I feel like I just found, and Taylor Swift. I think
I know it's funny. I've met a lot of people who kind of feel the same way, because at Berkeley it's like everyone's a musician, so it's like, oh, I grew up listening to this and now I'm here. Or a lot of people will stay in their same, they're like, well, I grew up listening to this, I'm still in this, and I'm like, I can see the development. So but usually they're always really good, so I'm like, yeah, you're in your element. But yeah, I mean, I kind of love everything. Like the only thing that I won't really listen to is like screamo. That's like the one thing that I just like, I'm kind of like, gives me anxiety. Like I can't do it, you know? So, but I do like rap. I'll listen to rap sometimes. I love Kendrick Lamar. I love Drake. I love Post Malone. Oh my God. Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
You mentioned a lot of artists that you love, but what is like one artist that you could listen to on repeat and never get tired of?
I mean, most of them. I would say Taylor Swift for sure. Ed Sheeran, definitely. I just love his voice. It's really soothing. Luz Capaldi, I love his voice. But him, the only thing is like a lot of his songs are very heavy. So it's like you're kind of listening to them and you're like, I gotta be in the mood to like listen to his whole album kind of thing. I think Love I could really listen to for a long time, just because he's got so much energy in his music and he's got so many stories, and I just love the way that his songs like flow into one another. Him live too is incredible. So yeah, I would say those are probably my top 4.
I feel like Luz Capaldi's the kind of person, like if you need to cry, that's who you go to.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's nice because like on his social media, he's like a completely different person than you would think. Like he's really goofy and funny and weird and like and authentic, and in his music he's authentic too, but in his music is just like it's heavy, like it's sad, you know. and it's just it's a total opposite. I just think it's so cute. It's really well done the way he does it. So
Definitely. Okay, this question might be a little difficult for you, but we do have a playlist like for like all the guests we have had on the podcast. We asked them their two top favorite songs that we should add to the playlist. So what would you say are your top favorite songs of all time?
of all time, oh my gosh. This is a pop playlist, or is it just like artists?
Whatever. It's a mix.
We
Mm,
have jazz, we've got like indie, we've got pop. So it's
Country.
all a country, it's all over the place. So like whichever
okay.
top two that come to mind first.
I have a lot. I don't know if I have like a top favorite song, but I have like songs that I love. September by Daughtry is one of my all-time favorite songs. Um, it just feels so good to listen to. So I think that's one. Um, oh my God, I don't know. I have to like look through my songs. When people ask me my favorite songs, my mind goes blank and I'm like, no. Um, uh,
Well, you could always just shoot us a message, be like, here's the other song. Or
I might shoot you a message. I'll give you like 10, but
perfect.
I'll give you a few because I'm just like I have them, but like I'm trying to think like should I go with like a classic Taylor song or should I go with like an ABBA song because I love ABBA. I don't know.
We'll
Let me
let you
try.
mull it over. We'll let you mull it over.
Okay, yeah. It takes a lot of thinking, like this like you got to put like care into the song that you give somebody. So
Well, moving from your different inspirations to your music and your career. Um, first of all, what compelled you to start writing? You kind of went into it a little bit, but what got you into writing and producing music in the first place?
Writing music, I am just obsessed with the idea of storytelling. I've always loved stories. My mom used to read to me as a kid. I love film. Like if I wasn't doing music, I'd be doing film. And I just love storytelling. I love the idea of telling stories in different perspectives. I like the way that stories go. I like when things take twists. I like when you don't expect things. I like just all the aspects of a story that you can possibly put into. I love the language, which is ironic because I'm incredibly dyslexic. So I'm like songwriting, and people are like, "But you don't really know English," and I'm like, "I know, it's funny, right?" Um, so I was compelled to write songs because like there's no rules. There's like you can just write. It's a way of expression. It's a way of being heard. I think something that's really important to me is this idea of being listened to and feeling heard. I never really felt heard in high school. I never felt like I was being listened to, not by my teachers, not by my peers, not really by anybody. And I was never like that kid that's like, I'm a loner and I'm depressed and like no one likes me. But I always just kind of felt like I don't really feel like people are listening to me. And I think that songwriting really helped me feel heard. I was like, okay, this is a song that I wrote, and if I can perform it and people can listen to it, I'll feel heard. So that's where I get the inspiration to be like, I want to write things. I want people to hear me. And just the idea of like telling stories and being able to make up stories, because it's just like a creative, like I love being creative. Visually, I am not creative. I don't know how things I can't even do puzzles. Like I don't even know how things go together. So everything to me is like noise. Like I need noise constantly. And that's why I'm always listening to music. So that's kind of what compelled me, that, and also like the Taylor Swift thing was like, oh, she writes songs, I should write songs. And then I kind of thought about it more and I was like, this is why I'm writing songs. It's not just because I'm like trying to copy her. And then for producing, it's just another way of telling the story. And it's also a really great way to get your ideas across, because I'm not like the songs that are out, I didn't produce those, but a lot of them I demoed. So like I created my own demo on Logic, or like whatever you want to use, but I use Logic, and I would put the sounds together and I'd put the beat together and I would record vocals and I would do different things, and then I would like send that to one of my producers that I work with and be like, can we do something with this? And then they would like take it, and sometimes they would use some of the same stems, or sometimes they would just recreate the whole thing, and it would develop. It would sound different, obviously, but it's one, a really great way to get your ideas across if you're wanting to work with more producers and wanting to get your song out there, and two, it's just really fun to like, and it feels cool, you know, especially because it's kind of like a guy thing, so it kind of feels cool when you do it, and it gets put together really well, and you see how all of the elements of the story just kind of carry through. So yeah, that was a really long answer. I'm sorry.
You're good. We love long answers. You already mentioned that during like last year that you flew to Nashville. But in general, like how did you find the process since we are in quarantine? Like making songs and working with other artists. Like what was like the difficulty with like the whole situation going on in the world right now?
So for me, it kind of came to a full stop when the pandemic hit, because most people don't really like doing Zoom sessions. I think now it's better. People are kind of doing them, but a lot of people didn't really like doing them. So I didn't really write with people over the summer. But last year I would travel like once a month. I would go down to Nashville and just write with different writers. A lot of the same people too. There's different like writer groups down there that have, they're kind of like cliques, but not cliques in the sense of like high school. There's just different like groups of people, and they all kind of intertwine and know each other, but it's like this group kind of writes with these people and this, you know, and they all kind of have their own network of people. So I kind of went down there and I would start kind of getting my name in and writing with the different groups, and then I just kind of stopped. So it affected me in the sense of it just kind of stopped, but I didn't really start to get back into it until like now, because now I'll be traveling again after the semester ends and in the summer, and I've been doing more Zoom sessions because I think people are just kind of ready to, you know, they're like, okay, we'll do this because we know that you'll be in person soon, so it's okay to, you know, start doing this over Zoom now.
Yeah. Earlier this year, you released your song, Her Song. Can you tell us a little bit about the song and about the creative process that came with it?
Yeah, so I wrote that song over the summer. It's kind of a collective of different stories from different people. For the song to make sense, it's about one person. It's the perspective of one person, but it's actually about different stories that I've taken of different friends who have told me like, I'm having an issue with this dude and I'm having an issue with this dude and blah blah, and I was like, you know, you guys are all having the same problem. So I just kind of took all of that and put it together in one song, and it was really fun. The song, honestly, I wrote that song in like 10 minutes because I was just like, I had so much content from all of these people, and I was like, that's pretty easy, which are always the best songs to write because you're like, it wrote itself, you know? But I think that's kind of the inspiration behind it, was other people's stories and just their issues, trying to figure out what they like and who they like. And, you know, being a girl in college can be confusing. So I was like, I think this could be just a great anthemic song for women or guys, you know, you're trying to figure it out, whatever you want. And I was never planning on releasing the song just because I was like, oh, okay, it's a song. It's like, I didn't think that it was like the best song. I was like, okay, it's fun. It's a song. And then I did a demo of it, an acoustic demo of it, just for fun. I don't know why I did it. Usually I'm like, oh, I want to demo this because I want to do something with it. But I think I just did it because I was like, I just want to have the song. I wanted to practice like recording and stuff like that. So I did an acoustic demo of it, and then I posted that on TikTok. And that's when that song kind of started to take off a little bit because people really related to it. And I got all these comments that were like, why is this girl me? Like, oh my God. And they would tag all of their friends and be like, this is you. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, so that was really fun to see, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't know about Hannah, but whenever I'm in my car, I have like a playlist with a couple of songs, but yours is on repeat.
Oh, Oh, thank you.
So fun driving with that song, windows down.
Yeah.
Going through my city, you feel like you have your life not together, but you're like vibing.
Right? Thank you. I'm so happy that you feel that way because that's exactly what I was going for. Like when I make music, I'm like, I just want to make people feel good, even if the lyrics are a little bit like risque or they're a little bit whatever, it's relatable. So you're like, I'm just gonna feel, I just want to feel it. So I'm so happy that you can connect with it and that it makes you feel good. So
if you were to talk to my friends, that I had a phase last summer, so they would definitely say, Mel, that song, yeah, that applies.
Well, I think that's why it did as well as it did is because so many girls in general were just like, I understand, I feel this, like I can connect with it, and I was like, that is exactly what I was going for. So yay.
Yeah, but you mentioned you uploaded on TikTok that you weren't really gonna release it, but TikTok was like, do it, put it on Spotify.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I had a TikTok in the summer and it was doing really poorly. And that's kind of when I got a little depressed. And I was like, everyone's doing so well in this TikTok thing. Everyone's like getting their career off of it, and I'm going nowhere. And I actually deleted my account because it was doing so bad, and I was like, I don't want to look at it. And then I made a new account because I was like, okay, I think I'll try this again, and it was doing the same thing. So I was like, you know what, I need to just not care. I need to not let this get to me. It's not gonna define my worth. It's not gonna, I can't base my life around views and like feeling like my value comes from that. So obviously easier said than done. It's really hard to be like, oh yeah, my work that I love and put time and effort into, no one cares about. Like, it's really hard to be like, okay, sure. But I would kind of just post and not look at it. So then I did the same thing with that one over winter break, and it literally took up until December for me to actually get like listeners and like viewership. So all these people that are like, yeah, it was my first video and it just went viral overnight, like that's not everybody. So like sometimes it takes time, it takes effort to like, make the content and the patience that goes with it. So yeah, it took time.
Look at you now.
Look at me now. The video did do well, so.
Yeah, and what was like the immediate response that you got from the TikTok community after that TikTok of the song kind of blew up?
It was really nice. It was nice because it didn't blow up in a sense of it got like a zillion views and like millions of people. Like, I know that happens to some people. That was not the case for me. Like, I think the number was 600,000, and it was just enough where I could get like kind of a boost of viewership and of people kind of like figuring out who I am, and enough where it can kind of steadily grow from here, which is really kind of what I was always going for. I'm never looking for an overnight success. I'm never looking for like an overnight viral sensation. I don't think that lasts. I don't think that it works. I like to go with the idea of like a steady growth, and then it builds and builds and builds, and it gets a little faster, but like, you want to build that foundation. So I think I was really happy with the results of people that found me, because a lot of them were people who related to the song. There were people who liked the song and wanted it to come out. They were people who were engaged and wanted to hear more. So that's what I was really excited about. They weren't just like, oh, I'm just watching this because other people watched it. So I was really happy with the people that kind of found me.
I personally can say most of the time I am on songwriter TikTok, and I love finding new artists through TikTok.
Yeah.
And I have a whole playlist that is called songs TikTok blessed me with.
Oh, I love that.
So
it's true. I have found so many good songs on TikTok. There's actually this one girl that I met through TikTok. I found her song, and I reached out to her through Instagram, and I was like, hey, I'd love to write with you. Like, I love your song. I love your sound. And so now every Tuesday we write together through Zoom.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a great way to like collaborate with people, and so yeah.
it's crazy how TikTok kind of like formed communities, because like 2019 when it like started, people actually started getting onto it. It was more just like dances and
Yeah.
Vine 2.0, but like you met someone through TikTok. I met, my friends and Melina and like our group of people through TikTok. Like it's just crazy how like even though we're stuck in our four walls, or however many walls a home has, I don't know.
Yeah.
You still can make friends all over the country, all over the world, really, because like I'm in Canada, Melina's in Toronto, and in Toronto, Melina's in Germany, and you're in Boston. Like we're in three different like countries, and still
Yeah.
we're able to talk and have laughs and just enjoy. So it's definitely been interesting, and I think the one thing about your song that speaks to girls especially is like you said it's relatable, but it's real, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's just made up stories. It's like here's things that actually happened, and let's put it into song, because I'm 100% sure like someone else has gone through the same thing once
Yeah.
in their life, right? So
Yeah. People want to hear things that remind them of themselves. And actually, I watched like a psychology video about this, about music, and like people, when they like a song, it's usually because it reminds them of themselves somehow. Whether that's a negative or a positive, that's what it makes them feel. So it reminds them either of themselves or of a loved one or of some sort of nostalgic memory. And that's usually why people gravitate towards certain music. So why certain songs do so well is usually because they're just incredibly relatable. Like people are like, I feel that this person wrote about my life. And that's why I think Taylor Swift did so well, because like it was all these girls who were like, I just went through the same breakup, or I just did the same thing, so like they really feel like she was writing about them, and that's what made them so like connected. So that's kind of what I'm going for.
But like going back to like the aspect of like writing music, do you ever experience writer's block, and how do you like kind of deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I experience writer's block. I go through phases. I think sometimes it's just when I'm overstressed about other things and my mind is just really foggy and I'm like, I don't know what to write about. I don't know how. Sometimes I'll start songs and I'll have like a start of like a chorus that I really like, or I'll have a start of a bridge or just a part of the song, and I'll be like, I love this. I just don't know. I don't know where to go with it. I don't know what to do with it. When I produce, it's a lot easier to work through it because there's other aspects of the song I can think of. I'm like, okay, let me just build out the sounds of the song. Let me build out the structure and where I want it to go and how I want it to feel. And then usually I can kind of work past whatever I'm dealing with or whatever is blocking. And I can find, it's easier to find the melodies, and then it makes it easier to find the lyrics. When I'm writing acoustically, sometimes I'll have to show the song to somebody else. It's easier to work through writer's block if you're collaborating, because somebody else can be like maybe you're having a really bad day and you're like, I can't think of anything to write, and they're like, well, I'm having a great day and I can help write the song. So yeah, it's really helpful to be with other people. And then usually like you can feed off of their energy and be like, oh, okay, I see where you're going, and like whatever you're feeling can help dissipate or go away.
and I think it goes with everything. Like, I mean, I'm a photographer, so like every time I edit photos and I'm like, I need someone else to look at these because I've been looking at this for 2 hours and they all blur now. It's all just one project. So someone who hasn't seen it, someone who hasn't heard it, kind of gives you a fresh point of view on what you're looking at, right? Because then you're able to see, oh, okay, you notice like, this one photo is a little dark, or in your case, like maybe that's not the word you're trying to say, maybe it's this word instead, and it gets you remotivated, I think.
Yeah.
Continue working on the project.
Yeah, and it's like getting a fresh set of ears. Sometimes you just need to walk away too if you're doing it yourself. Like take a break, go for a walk or watch TV or just call a friend. You go see a friend. People, like, human connection is so important, and it's so, I think, taken for granted. And I think a lot of people realized that with the pandemic. They were like, oh my God, I miss hugging people. Like, oh my God. And people realize that they are much more extroverted than they think they are. And they're like, I need to touch people. Like, I need to hug somebody. And you realize how much you miss that aspect of human connection. So I think that that's, when you're stuck, go get a hug from someone. I don't know. I feel like that would help,
Hugs are the best. I love hugs. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm like, let me just hug people. I don't feel so good. Just let me hug you.
Give me a hug. Someone told me that like to get the something like all of the I don't wanna say-
Serotonin?
yeah, like all the serotonin, well, all of the value that a hug can bring to like a human, you need to hug them for like 8 seconds a day.
Yeah.
Or like 5, I think it was like 5 times for 8 seconds a day or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's crazy how hugs can like just make you feel better.
spread the love.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. If you're ever having any trouble, go get a hug. Go get a hug.
I'm gonna go hug my mom after this episode.
Yes, girl.
So I want to touch on something that you kind of mentioned earlier on, and it's how like being a female producer is kind of hard, and I think just being a female sometimes can just be very, very difficult because of the world that we live in. I just wanted to know like kind of what has been your experience, being a young female, you're still in school, but you're trying to make something out of your passions. What has it been like to try to like get your thoughts into the room or get kind of your experience or your ideas spoken out in a field that's mainly dominated by men?
I haven't experienced like a lot of like misogynistic kind of behavior, which is nice because like there is a lot of that I think in the field, but I think it's I personally have not experienced too much of that, but I have noticed that particularly with production, it's definitely male dominated, and I think that that's just kind of like how things kind of fell together. I don't think it's because like women felt like, oh, I can't produce because I'm a woman. I think it was more like a lot of women are just more drawn to the idea of being the artist and being the writer. And I think some men are like, I don't want to do that. I want to produce because it's cool or because they like it, so whatever draws them to it. But I think what I have noticed is like I'm a part of different like clubs here, and one of the clubs is like it's like a more of a producer club kind of thing, and it is definitely like 90% guys. So it can definitely be a little intimidating because if you walk into a session or even if it's a Zoom thing, like there was this one where they put us in breakout rooms just to network with people, and the second time there were actually 2 other women there, so that was kind of nice to see. But the first few times it was like me and like 2-3 other guys, and I was like, oh, hi. I think that sometimes there's a stigma around female vocalists in specific where they're like, they probably don't know music theory, they probably can't play an instrument, they probably don't really write their songs, they probably don't really know what they want, they don't know how to produce, and that's kind of the like stigma of like young female producers if you're walking in, or young female artists if you're walking into a room. I will say I don't know music theory very well, and that's just because I'm very dyslexic, and like it comes so hard for me. Like it's really hard for me to understand. I understand concepts, certain concepts, and I can keep up to a decent amount. But yeah, that is something that I struggle with. I do play instruments. I play guitar and I play a little piano, and I do produce. So I think that gives me a little bit of a leg up when I'm walking into a room because I can just communicate a little bit more with whoever I'm collaborating with. But I think in the sense of being a woman, I think I've just kind of thought about it as like, okay, well, I just need to make myself heard, just don't be like the girl that doesn't say anything because she's in a room of just guys. Like, I think that also just having guy friends helps that, if you hang out with guys, then you know how to talk to them. They're just people,
That's true. You
might think they're not, but some are just close to not, but like, you just talk to them, make yourself heard. Sometimes you have to speak louder. And my experience, most of them are like very welcoming and very open and very friendly. There are probably the occasional few that will be like, It's just another like female artist who like wants, X, Y, and Z and, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to kind of counteract that is to just know your stuff and like
Yeah.
and if you're walking into a room of a producer, then maybe learn some production skills so you can be like, hey, can you EQ that differently, or can you take the high end out of that? You just like say different things so that they know that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, hit them with the technical words, and they'd be like, "Oh shoot, she
Technical
she
words.
does know. She does
Yeah,
know
they'll
what
be like,
she's."
oh, she can hear that, and you're like, yeah, I can hear my voice, like, yeah. So
Yeah, and kind of like maintaining your personal life and your school life with this professional life that you're trying to make for yourself. How has that been like? Does it ever feel like it's too much? Or are you kind of the person that's like, I like having my calendar filled and it gives me happiness? Where do you fall on that balance between personal and professional life?
I love being busy, especially after quarantine. I love being busy. I'm excited to travel again. I'm excited to perform again.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely going to be an adjustment because I used to perform several times a week, and I had a decent stamina to it, and I knew what I was doing. And I have a gig as a wedding singer for some of the summer, and I'll be going to Nashville and doing shows too. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a like boot camp like performance back into it, which I'm psyched for because I think I need that. But I am definitely someone who like it gets to the end of the night and I don't want to do work. Like unless it's like a session, because usually sessions happen at night, like writing sessions and production sessions and stuff like that. Usually those are at night, so I don't mind those because I love hanging out with people. Like I'm a people person. I love being with groups. I love being one-on-one. Depending on the vibe in the room. Sometimes oh, these people are just not my people. But if they are your kind of person, usually you can kind of vibe with anybody.
Yeah.
So I love being with people. So if it's a session and we're vibing, then I could keep going. But I'm definitely someone who like I also need just like my own time at the end of the night. Take some tea and just watch something really stupid, like. So I am doing part-time this semester so that I could handle more sessions and I could handle more work and that kind of stuff. So I think schoolwork for me kind of gets put on the back burner sometimes, and I'm more focused on like, okay, well, there's this live show that I'm trying to do, or I'm planning this, so.
Are you the kind of person that like would rather sleep early and then wake up earlier to do work, or are you the type of person that it kind of depends on the situation, but you like your sleep?
I think it depends on the day and the situation. I do like my sleep a lot. This is why I could not be a full-time producer engineer, is because like they are usually night owls and they'll be like, yeah, I'm awake at 4 in the morning, I'm just doing like on screen. I'm like, I can't do that. Like,
unless you're in the zone. Unless you're like
really in the zone and it's like you have other people in the room and you're really vibing and like you don't really have that much the next day. It's okay if you lose some sleep.
Yeah.
But I like to function, I need sleep. I could go off of 4 hours, but like not for several days in a row. I mean I think that kind of comes with it when you're in the tour life. That probably tends to happen a little bit. But you build up a stamina to it and you build up a routine. So I think that I could kind of adjust to anything. But right now, I'm kind of like, I'll go to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning, but I'll be sleeping until like 11. So.
Again,
and then I'll get everything
my person. Done. I just found my person. That's it.
Yeah. Because it's like, I'm not a morning person. If I have to do something in the morning, I'll do it. But like, no.
After the coffee at noon type of thing,
I'm like, my breakfast time is like 12:31. So
I get it though. Honestly, like, I mean, I work full time outside of doing the podcast and photography. So I've had to become like a morning person because 9 a.m. meetings, what are you going to do? You have to do them, right? But weekends, like Mel's like, Hannah, you wake up so late on the weekends. I'm like, it's my only time to sleep.
This is my time.
Mel, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
forgot I was muted. I said it's the time difference. That's why it's late for me, because you wake up at like 2 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
See, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that, like, there are people who will sleep that late, and I'm like, that's a little excessive. That's a little much. But
I could never, like, I'm like 11 is the latest I'll wake up.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
latest. So, you know, you've kind of mentioned that you've kind of learned that you, as much as you like to keep busy, you still like your alone time at the end of the day and to kind of regenerate by yourself. But have you set any goals for yourself in 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things to do actually is like manifestation and like writing things down and setting goals and doing like vision boards and stuff. So my printer broke, so I didn't have a chance to like print out things and make like the visual vision board. So I'm working on that. When I go home, I'm gonna print everything out. But yeah, I think my goals for 2021 is definitely to get on the road a little bit and to do some shows. My manager and I are working on some opening slots for people, which is really cool. So, but I think for some of the bigger tours, they're really not going to come back until the winter. So that'll kind of be more 2022-ish. But for the rest of this year, I think releasing more music and just growing more of a steady online following for sure. Growing kind of a live following through Veep, which is actually a show that I have tonight. If you guys want to come and get a ticket, they're $3 in my bio.
We'll do. Don't worry. We'll be there.
Yay! Okay, great. It's at 8 p.m. It'll be really fun. It's only an hour. There's like fun skits that are in between. That's actually something that I'll be doing probably monthly, and we'll just kind of be growing kind of like a live following on there, which will be fun. And I mean, over the summer, I'll be doing a lot of like, really what I hope to do is just write with a lot of people and really build up a catalog. One of my goals is definitely to get something placed in like a film or TV show, first think, to license a song. A big goal would be getting in different editorial playlists, which we're working on for the next songs, and just really taking a step in being noticed a little bit more online, and again, not looking for like the overnight viral. That's not my thing, but like just like this steady growth, and just really connecting with people who like my music. Like I love talking to you guys and people who are like, I like your song, I vibe with it, and I'm like, great, like let's be friends, you know. So I love that. That aspect of it. I love getting DMs from people in like London, and they're like, I listen to your song when I do my uni work, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cute, thank you. So yeah, it's great.
Well, when you go on tour, Mel and I will be front row and center
at
whichever shows we can get into.
Of course, I'll get you guys like special tickets and everything. Like it'll be great.
We're here. No, we'll cry, you know. No, but seriously, I think like one of my favorite things is like seeing, like I love being a fan of young new artists and like getting the chance to watch them grow, because I think there's something special about like saying like, oh, I was there from like when her song was just on TikTok, you know, or you know, like Louis Capaldi, like I listened to him way before his album came out, and I was like seeing people fall in love with someone that you love and genuinely enjoy listening to always makes me happy. So you can count on Mel and I to promote the heck out of every song you release, because we're those kind of girls. We post about something we love for a week and a half nonstop.
Thank you. Well, that makes me so happy. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, so just before we end off, we have some fun questions for you. These are just to get some more laughs, because you know I don't think we've had enough laughs so far.
You can never have enough laughs.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with another question where you have to pick a song.
Okay.
If you had to pick a song to play every single time you enter a room to kind of introduce you, what song would it be and why?
Okay, this is like super basic, but it's the first one that popped into my head. I would probably play Party in the USA, because I just like, my goal is to always just have fun with people and to like make everything really just like chill. There's no stress here. Like let's just talk, you know? And even if the vibe is like chill and we're gonna get really deep about something, to me that's still a party. Like to me, like a party doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh my god, it's a party. Like it can be a party if you're just hanging out with people and you're talking deep, you're getting to know each other, things get real, you know? So I think that's why I would do Party in the USA, because I'd be like, all right guys, we're just gonna have a great time, you know? Like it's gonna be a night. So
I love it. Okay, another question. What is the I cannot speak. What's the craziest food combination you ever tried?
Food combination? That's a good question. I'm a really plain eater, so I haven't tried anything like too crazy. I went to New Mexico with my family once, and we tried, it wasn't like squid. It was something with some sort of sauce. I don't know what it was. It was some sort of like sea creature, and it was with some thing on top. I don't know, but it was really weird. It was really strange. It was not for me. Like it was some sea like shell or something with like this dip, but the dip was from like this weird, like it was like a Chinese, it was something weird. I don't know what it was called, but it was like a sea thing. It was a sea creature.
It's okay, no worries. On like the topic of traveling, what's your favorite place you've ever traveled to?
I wish I could travel more. That's one of the reasons I want to tour so bad, is just even to travel. I mean, I love Nashville. I think it's just one of my favorite places to go, but I've been to Iceland once, and I think that was just like probably the most beautiful place I've ever seen. It was a while ago, so I'd love to go back and visit it, but it was just like the colors that are in the like environment were just so vivid, and I was like, oh my god, like this is real. So yeah, probably Iceland.
Very fun. I've never been, but it's on the top of my bucket list.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked to you a little bit about movies and TV shows earlier. What do you think would be like the most exciting fictional character to meet in real life?
Oh my gosh. Ooh. I'm like thinking of all the Marvel characters, and I'm like, oh my god, which one would I want to meet?
My mind went straight to Tony Stark.
I did too. I was thinking like maybe Spider-Man. I'm obsessed with Spider-Man. I also just love Tom Holland because like Tom Holland's, but like but I as a character, I would probably say Spider-Man or maybe Doctor Strange, because like he's magic, and I could be like, yo, can you tell me like something cool? Can you show me how to do something, you know?
Yeah.
And then you could chill with Spider-Man, and I feel like that would just be like, yo, I'm hanging out with Spider-Man. I'm like, so
Same minds. I love it. I'm here for the same brain cell that's working.
Okay, and the last question that will round up this interview is a little fun one to learn maybe something about you that some people don't know. What would you say is the most useless talent that you have?
I love that question. What's the most useless talent? Is it a talent? I don't know. That's a really good question. I can move my head like this, but everybody can kind of do that.
I can, so.
My brother, like, he couldn't do it for so long, and then he figured it out, but it's like the sassy head thing. Yeah, Mel can do it. She's like, I would say that's probably the most useless thing that I can do. And yeah, I used to be able to stick a spoon on my nose. You know, like when people like hold a spoon on their nose, I used to be able to do that. I'd say that is probably the most useless thing I can do.
I love it.
Can show it off to everybody.
That's next talent show, you know, that's just what
I'll
you'll
just
do. You'll
stand
just
there
hold the
with the-
spoon. Just sit with the spoon.
Look at me. I did it.
With the spoon on the nose and then.
And then do this. Yeah, and be like, look, it's not falling. It's not falling. It's not falling. Oh my God.
Well, KAYLEE, thank you so much for joining us today. We had a blast just getting to know you a little bit more and picking your brain and kind of stumping you with a few questions, because that's always something we love to do. And we honestly enjoyed just talking to you and getting to know you as a person outside of, you know, whatever is shown to the public, because I think just chatting and having this human connection, as we talked about, is important, because then we can ask fun questions and just get to laugh it out and everything like that. So anyone doesn't know KAYLEE, her contact, her social media will be below. So definitely check her out, give her a follow, support her, support our girl, because we got to stick together.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I loved doing this. I loved hanging out with you guys. And yeah, I would love to just keep in touch and get to know you. I'll support all of y'all's projects. So just if you need anything. And yeah, it was fun.
Of course.
And that's girl stuff.